Hi everyone. Welcome to Living Wisdom and Dharma World. Today, we're going to hear the dialogue between Shakyamuni Buddha and one monk named Deva on the truth after death. One day, a monk named Deva approached Shakyamuni Buddha with a troubled heart. He had pondered deeply on the fate of beings after death, unable to find a clear answer. Finally, he asked the world-honored one, "Where does a human go after death? Is it falling into everlasting darkness, or is there another place?" The Buddha, full of wisdom and compassion, responded, "Deva, imagine a fire burning before you. When the fire goes out, where does it go? Does it go east, west, north, or south?" Deva thought for a moment and replied, "World-honored one, the fire does not go in any particular direction. It simply ceases when the fuel is exhausted." The Buddha nodded and continued, "Indeed, Deva, just as a fire depends on conditions, wood, air, and heat to burn, so too does the existence of a being depend on causes and conditions. When those conditions change, the being as it was known ceases to exist in the same way. It is not a question of going somewhere, but of transformation. Just as a dream dissolves when one awakens, all things are ultimately dreamlike. Birth and death are no different from a passing illusion. When one is attached to illusions, one suffers. When one awakens to the truth, one is free." Deva then asked, "But Lord Buddha, if a person does not simply go to a fixed place after death, then what becomes of them?" The Buddha answered, "Deva, do not think of death as the absolute end or as the journey to an eternal place. Beings arise and pass away according to their karma and attachments. Just as a river flows according to the shape of the land, so too does consciousness continue in accordance with its past actions. A person filled with virtue, wisdom, and compassion will naturally be drawn to realms of peace and happiness. A person filled with greed, hatred, and delusion will be drawn to realms of suffering. Nothing is truly lost, nor does anything remain unchanged. The law of karma guides the next becoming, just as the wind carries a fragrance or a stench, depending on the source. The wise cultivate good karma, for they know that their future is shaped by their present deeds." The monk Deva, still troubled, asked, "Then is there nothing beyond this life? Do we simply vanish?" The Buddha smiled and explained, "Deva, clinging to the idea of existence or non-existence is like grasping at clouds. The nature of all things is neither coming nor going. Do not be attached to ideas of birth and death, for they are but the play of illusion. Just as a river does not hold a single drop of water forever, so too is life ever-changing. Let go, see clearly, and be at peace." Hearing this, Deva realized the truth and let go of his fears. His heart became light like the sky, free from attachment to birth and death. He bowed deeply and said, "I now understand, world-honored one. It is not about going somewhere, but about transformation. Karma determines the path." Shakyamuni Buddha smiled and said, "Yes, Deva. Therefore, cultivate wisdom, virtue, and compassion. Do not fear death, but instead purify the mind. Then, when this body is left behind, your journey will be toward the light of liberation." Understanding the teaching. This dialogue reveals a profound truth. The question of where one goes after death is based on an illusion of self. Life and death are like a dream. Everything we experience is fleeting, conditioned, and impermanent. To awaken is to see beyond illusion and dwell in the peace of true wisdom. In reality, Life is a continuous flow of causes and conditions, shaped by karma. Death is not a permanent end or a fixed destination, but a transition, like a wave returning to the ocean. The wise do not fear death, because they know that by cultivating virtue and wisdom in this life, their next becoming will be one of peace, joy, and ultimately, liberation. Thus, the focus should not be on where one goes, but on how one lives. Key lessons from the Buddha's teaching. 1. Death is not the end, but a transition governed by karma. 2. There is no fixed destination. Rebirth follows the mind's tendencies. 3. By purifying the mind, one can move toward realms of peace or liberation. 4. Fear of death can be transcended by wisdom and right practice. 5. The ultimate goal is not rebirth in any realm, but liberation from all suffering. May all beings understand this truth and walk the path of wisdom, so that their journey leads to enlightenment and not to suffering. Conclusion. The Buddha's dialogue with Deva offers a timeless teaching on the nature of life, death, and transformation. It reminds us that clinging to fixed ideas of existence and non-existence only leads to suffering. Just as a fire ceases when its fuel is exhausted, and just as a dream dissolves upon awakening, life and death are but passing illusions, conditioned by causes and karma. Rather than fearing death or longing for permanence, the wise focus on cultivating virtue, wisdom, and compassion. In doing so, they shape a future of peace and eventually transcend the cycle of birth and death altogether. True liberation is not found in searching for a destination after death, but in awakening to the reality of impermanence and freeing oneself from attachment. Thank you for joining us today on Living Wisdom and Dharma World. If you found this teaching insightful, please like, subscribe, and share this video with others seeking wisdom. May we all embrace this wisdom, let go of illusions, and walk the path of clarity and peace. By living mindfully and cultivating good karma, we ensure that our journey leads not to suffering, but to enlightenment.